Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
All right, thank you for joining us on Morning Spring for today on Western Spring Television. Not just for today, it's the week starting edition of this program. How was your weekend? Let me ask. For some of us, it was different things, and of course, especially so to different people. But thank goodness, thank God, we are back here, and we're very delighted that you're joining us this morning, doing these with us. Of course, as a routine, not just that, but then being informed, being educated. You being part of the conversation about the betterment of this great nation. Thank you for doing that. Femi Ojo is my name. And the lady in red, he's here. Good morning.
Good morning, Femi. How are you doing
Yeah,
today?
very well.
Good morning,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you for joining us on the very first edition of Morning Spring for today. We are delighted to have you on board. Here we speak to socio-political issues that affect us as a people, speaking to critical stakeholders, politicians, policymakers, social advocates, that you, our esteemed audience and viewers, can be better informed. Welcome on board once again.
All right, welcome. And of course, on the program, we look at the headlines and then we get talking. But before we hit the first break on the program, as we prepare for the headlines, last week was quite an eventful one, I must say, especially at the judiciary. A lot of things happened. The tax reform bill and the eyebrows are being raised. In fact, not just eyebrow now, the whole of the body was moved. We're talking about the northern region as a people raised opposition and say, no, we are not having that. The political class, the traditional institutions, the bill, was said to, be reworked and represented. And the presidency said, we have nothing against the people of the North. In fact, every state should be better off with that bill. But then let's send it to the National Assembly and then the legislative input will be put in that particular place. But apart from that, the issue of the suspected, people, because you might want to say children, the representative of the government, the council said they are not children. Many persons are saying they are children, 75 or 76 of them present in court. There was a case of one or some of them fainting, many of them appearing haggard in a kind of way to say these are minors. There was a particular news report that even said most of them are between the age of 12 and 15. But the council to the government said, these ones you are looking at, they are people's husbands, they are, adults. Forget their stature, and these are some of the matter. And, the jury is in the open. Evelyn.
Of course, a lot of people are talking about that has stirred controversy in the public space, especially with that interview granted by Barrister Ezekiel Counsel to the federal government, saying that these kids are adults, some of them are university graduates, some are husbands, some are even fathers, that, it's not true what the counsel of the defendants are saying. If you look at them very well, you'd see that these are fathers and not just kids. But then the police PRO, Lumiwa Adejobi, granted an interview, and he said he contradicted in a way what the counsel to the federal government said, and said that none of them is less than 13 years of age, and that the constitution only provides for underage as people from 7 and below. And a lot of people are asking, do 7 and below get to vote in this country? What is really the position of the law when a suspect is below the age of 18? The fact that they were actually put up in a facility, a prison facility meant for adults, is another one. It's another story for discussion, because you remember Martin Ose, also known as Very Dark Man, was the one that actually brought up this whole issue, where he said that where he was, the prison where he slept, most of those children were there, and he was wondering why they were in that prison. So it goes a long way to say that this particular government is kind of disconnected from the people, because why would you charge, okay, let's say they are 13 years of age, none of them is 13 years of age, why would you charge 13 years, 14 years for treason? These kids, they are without education.
They are chanting anti-government songs, and then
I
they
mean,
are
these
raising
kids
foreign flags.
are without education. I bet you they don't even know what they were doing. They were just told to carry these flags and go on chanting on the streets.
Yeah.
And that is also a failure of government.
Did they ask them questions about the people that sent them? If actually that was that was the crime scene in which they were caught, who sent them this particular thing? Because all of them, if you tell many of those guys, those children, yes, they are, to point to the flag of Russia, I bet you many of them wouldn't be able to.
That's why I said they are without education, Femi. And
for
you to say a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old wants to overthrow the government.
Overthrow the government.
Overthrow the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I mean, it's laughable. And I feel the president, who is the father of the nation, should be speaking to this, because these are kids that should be in school, and they've been held up in prison for 93 days.
But the president doesn't have anything on the judiciary, does he?
He does not, but he has a thing on his children. Those kids are his children. He's the father of the nation. And if the children have been out of school for 3 months, what will the international community say about us? They've been in detention for 3 months, not even a juvenile custody, an adult prison. And you know, the Justice Obiora gave that bill to them and said each person is
10 million.
As in each. Where that's about 760 million naira.
Yeah.
Where do you expect these kids to get that?
And you can see why some of them were past biscuits and water, the way they were consuming.
The optics are not good for me, and it's not good for us as a country.
As a people. I agree with you. And the police, by the way, said that particular fainting scenario was staged and it was scripted. That was just meant to, curry favor from the people, and it was all arranged. And these are some of the issues, because by the time you present some of these guys,
where their outlook also staged, you could see these kids. They were in skeletal form. Some of them looked like they had kwashiorkor. So was that staged too?
The thing is, many persons will say, assume it without consider, because the case is in court, to say maybe some of them really did what they said they did. I'm talking about the carrying of the flag and the anti-government song and the slogan and all of those things. And maybe, just let's assume, they might be violent, in the way they do their things. But is there no way to go around some of these things? And you see a learned counsel, by the way, some will say he's doing his job. Say, forget what people are saying. These guys are, by the way, the correctional center reacted and say it's not true. The fact that they were kept in adult cells, that, they had to do what they had to do wherever they are kept. And many persons who knew that prison was saying that prison doesn't have
a juvenile facility.
Infrastructure. These are some of the issues.
And the fact that they were kept there for 3 months, that's a whole term in school.
And the bail has been set at 10 million naira. Those guys we are looking at.
The optics is not good, and I hope the president can actually speak to this. Although the suit was instituted by the federal government. So it's like the federal government fighting against its own people.
All right. We wait to see. And these are some of the things we are seeing at this time. It's not looking good. The whole of the people are reacting. And I'm sure the global community are watching as well, especially when we now come to a global space and we are talking about equality, inclusion. We have to be on the security seat of the United Nations. And, many persons will say, when you have that power, is this how you are going to use it? These are some of the issues, and trust us to be on this matter. But we'll take a break right now. When we return, we'll reel out the headlines from the papers. It's Morning Spring, the first one for this week on Western Spring Television, channel 190, Star Times DTT. Stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. Let me start this particular one from the Punch newspaper, the headline segment. The Punch. End bad governance. Northern governance, ACF, others demand minors release. Northern governance, ACF, others demand minors release. And with a rider, North must wake up. Bala Muhammad charges region. Sons differ on arraigned minors. Bala Muhammad speaking to say, the North must wake up. Wake up into what, actually? Because I want to know, okay, what exactly have they been sleeping before? What are they supposed to do? How many days did you say those guys were incarcerated for?
93.
93. Where was the North in that particular? The political leaders, if I meant to say on this matter, not until it was brought to fore and escalated by an individual. And then the North suddenly must wake up. The governors have found their voice, and these are some of these. By the way, there is the law. We must follow the law at the end of the day. But then there is the humanity face to all of these things. Below that, aggrieved residents protest as king. Politicians visit Spain flood scenes. It was, a disaster in some part of Spain last week. It was the weekend, especially areas around Valencia. It was Mother Nature.
And the death toll keep rising.
Yes, and the flood, muddy waters, and all of these things sweeping through houses, cars. You could see how cars were being carried like papers in heaps on itself. And it was a very sad one, especially as the king visited yesterday. Some political bigwigs, Pedro Sanchez. And by the way, the people were angry. Maybe they felt maybe he came later, some of them. And these are some of the issues. He was pelted with stone. I'm talking about Pedro Sanchez. You could see the picture as well. And the wreckage of what is left in Valencia, in Spain. Moving on, U.S. election, Harris, Trump in final push for vote. Few hours before the D-Day in, the U.S. election. We'll get into that in the course of the program. Man jailed 6 months for attempting to sit daughter's UTME. Is that a loving father or a reckless one? How?
We moved from parents loitering around the examination
to
hall
a parent
sitting for the child.
And so who is sitting for that child in the university?
This is a father's love taken to the extreme.
Wow. So when the daughter actually gets that admission, who will attend lectures for her?
Exactly.
For 4 years. I think that was all shades of nonsense there, if you ask me. Government allocates 18 billion naira compensation for Lagos Calabar Highway, and federal government projects 44 trillion naira revenue as reps oppose tax review. 4 marketers spend 833 billion naira on fuel import report. And Nigeria's forex market unstable, says Fitch. And on the Ondo governorship corner debate, Ayedatiwa tackles Ajayi over 1.2 billion naira security vote. SDP ADC candidates promise to tackle insecurity. These are the matters we are following from the front page of the Punch for today.
Let's head on to the Guardian newspaper this morning. Let's see what we have there. FG begins food import, may extend zero duty initiative timeline. And you can see some more details there. 0% duty rate and value-added tax exemption on some essential food items, which was approved by President Bola Tinubu to commence from July 15, 2024 to December 31, 2024 in the first instance, may have been delayed due to bureaucracy. Femi, you remembered when that was done, and we have brown rice, grain, sorghum, millet, maize, wheat, beans. Well, we keep seeing a surge in the prices of these goods. Now we learned that there has been a delay due to bureaucracy. We hope that can be resolved and people may pay less for some of these food items. And even if it can be extended, I'm sure Nigerians wouldn't mind. Nigeria, 8 ECOWAS countries sign high seas treaty. Dangote, are petrol cheaper than imported ones? Nigerians are saying, Dangote, just leave all the talk. Can you just tell us how much you're selling?
That's it.
stop telling us if it's cheaper, if
I
it's
think it's at this
more
time
expensive, if
they are
it's
talking too much as a people. I mean, as a conglomerate or company, really. Just
just
put,
tell us, put a figure to it.
yeah.
Let
Let's
us know
know.
you're selling
What
for
are you telling us?
1,000 naira per liter, you're selling for 800 naira per liter, so we know where to
My
channel
commodity is the
our
cheapest. How
energy.
much do they sell them? It's
You
in the
get.
you are not say.
All right, away from that hardship, APC slams Makinde. IMPI backs Tinubu as Atiku offers alternative path. Remember that viral video, where Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State was speaking there, saying the coming election is going to be not between APC and PDP, but between APC and the Nigerian people. And this has actually stirred controversy, sparked controversy, especially people asking, Governor Seyi Makinde, do you have the morality to speak on this issue, seeing that you were part of the G5 governors that handed over power to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? You supported, his presidency against your own candidate, Waziri Atiku Abubakar. Now you're saying it's going to be between APC and the citizenry. What are you talking about? But of course, the APC slammed him. And there is also the question of where does this put Makinde and Wike? Because we know that Makinde is an ally of Minister Nyesom Wike. Is it that they are still together? What will this? And I mean, a lot of people have been putting some theories together, whether or not Makinde and Wike are still on the same page. And if they are, is Wike going to work against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2027 election if he contests, because he's yet to actually throw.
That's a long time.
Is that?
I said that's a long time from now.
It's a long time, but of course we saw,
let them finish well and strongly.
We saw some billboards that people were tearing down in the north, Tinubu 2027 and all of that. But then away from that, Lagos Calabar Highway FG to pay 18 billion naira compensation in 10 days. CSOs, Falana false treason charges, urge release of minors, others. And resource control, reason for Rivers political crisis, says Fulbara. Resource control, the real reason for Rivers political crisis, says Fulbara. And Oando announces 60.3 billion naira profit. And that will be all coming from the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning.
All right, from the Guardian newspaper, we move to what the Daily Trust has for us. The Daily Trust newspaper. Families of detained minors cry for justice. Still on the urban governance thing. With riders, I thought my son was dead. Falana, others, maybe a parent that hasn't had any information or, all of a sudden seeing the said child in court. Well, I thought my son was dead. Falana, other lawyers challenge bail terms. IGP prosecutor's utterances disappointing ACF. Governor Yusuf demands detainees return to Kano. Interesting. CSOs threaten mass action. Serap wants minor released in 48 hours. All kind of ultimatum here. All right, and here there is the picture of transporters and, of course, haulage and articulated vehicles on the road. Just below that, Naira depreciation pushes Nigeria's debt up by 47 trillion naira in 1 year. Naira depreciation pushes Nigeria's debt up by 47 trillion naira in 1 year, and site refinery in Kolmani Forum tells federal government. Site refinery in Kolmani Forum tells federal government, and 2 Kano NNPP reps dump Kwankwansia movement. Here we go. And wanted terrorist leader Habudogo arrested. All right. I hope we won't be hearing the issue of what they call it now, re-radicalizing or de-radicalizing them, and then saying they have turned a new leaf. Dangote reveals petrol price sells at 990 naira per liter. Finally, Evelyn, you have your answer. Dangote reveals, according to the Daily Trust, by the way, Dangote reveals petrol price sells 9.90 naira per litre, and landmine kills 7 loggers in Borno. Sad. Presidency have any ferry disagree over federal appointment. That will be all from the front page of the Daily Trust for today.
And let's quickly get on the This Day newspaper, the front page of This Day newspaper. World on edge as U.S. presidential election holds tomorrow. And Tiku, FG should adopt my manifesto. And presidency, replying, Atiku says Nigeria would have deteriorated under you. Not Atiku being so, magnanimous
Vocal.
to give the federal government that advice, saying, if yours is not working, probably you try out my manifesto.
Yeah.
At least I know what I wrote there and why I wrote them down. So you might as well, I would be so kind enough to give it out to you. But the president is saying what you have there would have actually made Nigeria crumble. And after Thanksgiving, Obaseki celebrates achievements, successes. And still on This Day newspaper, Dangote refinery to oil marketers. Any imported petrol cheaper than ours is substantial. And top strip this day, World Bank projects oil glut in 2025. Foresees price drop to $73 to a barrel. And these are the stories that made it to the front page of This Day newspaper for today. And of course, that will be the size of this particular segment, the newspaper review segment. We'll go for this break. When we return, we are traveling all the way to the US. It's a one-way ticket. Are we coming back?
Of course we will.
Okay, so it's not. Okay, it's not a one-way.
How can it be one way?
I wished it was a one-way ticket, so I can just jack off from there.
All right. So decision time.
Yeah.
For the people of God's own country, the way they call themselves. By the way, some are already making the decision, because in their system, there's a way you can vote by mail, actually. And these are some of the ages. So the decision has been made already. But then the D-Day, the big day, is tomorrow. And so we'll talk about it. That will form the basis of our conversation for today and tomorrow, and maybe lessons that we can learn as a nation from it. We'll be speaking to some gentlemen who resides in God's own country, and of course, having their professional view on this matter. Stay with us.